Over the recent months, after having decided to take the endeavor of making YouTube videos seriously to talk about the pieces of art and storytelling I think are worthwhile to communicate about, I've repeatedly run into this one stopping point. What matters enough to talk about? It's a self-serious question for the medium I've set out to do this work on. YouTube videos don't have to be literature set in stone. Most people, including myself, engage with YouTube as passive and somewhat disposable entertainment. If I want to build my channel, it only makes sense to allow that sort of meandering yet sincere style of video, those kinds of videos where you talk about a large swath of movies or franchises in bulk, or casually talk about 4 Simpsons episodes you like. I could write and talk through videos like that gladly, but when I get to the editing process, when I have to spend a handful of hours simply listening to it over and over again, putting the pieces in place to make the video happen, I always, without fail, get this feeling of apathy. Why am I making this video? Why is this the video I'm spending my time on? It's an immobilizing question, and it's one I often answer to myself before I even write the video in the first place. Barring the specifics of any given video, there's always the unifying reasons. I'm making this video to share my interests, I'm making this video to grow my channel. But when I'm left with the thoughts I'd written and vocalized, do these answers suddenly seem unserviceable? You know, I love the phrase, anything worth doing is worth doing well, but if you want to make something of yourself, and let's zoom out of me in my moment specifically, if you want to get your career, build yourself up, improve, find love, friends, materialize your passions into the world, make a life for yourself, how do you know what is worth doing? How do you answer that question if you are depressed, anxious, your ceiling is leaking, and there's no money to fix it? Why work on anything frivolous if you haven't painted your masterpiece? I love to turn to my favorite films, my favorite stories and songs. I believe the greatest art is that which is made with an open heart, and there is a power to receiving it with openness on your part. I noticed a theme within my favorite stories, and that tended to be the expression of a call to action.
Don't miss the wonders that surround you.
Luke Skywalker looking at the twin suns, 2 paths, the swell of John Williams' score. The future is divergent and distant, like the contrasting suns over Tatooine, and you are stuck looking ahead toward them, a moment transcendental in its universality. Everyone has been here before. Johnny went to fight in Belfast, Rudy stayed at home to starve, I could make it all worthwhile as a rock and roll star. These are lyrics from the song Star from David Bowie's iconic 1972 album, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. If I can just get where I want to go, everything will fall in place. I think anyone with passion or drive is haunted by visions of the future where they've made it to where they want to be going. And the danger of this is the unintentionally self-imposed weight of holding your actions and movements in the present to the standards of this future version of yourself. It's the classic fallacy of putting the cart before the horse. The era of social media has worked to further compound this to the extent that I won't even dive into detail and just say it is poison to live by it and on it. You use it as a tool and nothing more. The substance of whatever you are trying to promote must be the priority. Don't worry about packaging or community building till you've made something to package. Akira Kurosawa, one of the great painters of the cinematic medium, once said, I think young people today don't know the trick of it. They start and want to get to the end right away. When you go mountain climbing, the first thing you're told is not to look at the peak, but to keep your eyes on the ground as you climb. You just keep climbing patiently, one step at a time. If you keep looking at the top, you'll get frustrated. I think writing is similar. You need to get used to the task of writing. You must make an effort to learn to regard it, not as something painful, but as a routine. When the mountain is always visible, it's easy for the daydream to become habitual. Distractions are ever present, and with that, discipline and constructive routine are smothered and you become entrenched in the valley. Your masterpiece, your portfolio, your resume, all of that are things that you collect in the way of doing. Your material reality is now. The now is your home.
Still looking to the horizon. Never hear the need in front of your nose.
You owe it to the integrity of your passion to be humble enough to work without showing, to work without fixating on the stress and inconvenience of the process, without rushing to the ideal outcome. Let pretension and expectation fall to the wayside and be left behind. There's a wonderful story I think of often in David Lynch's biography / autobiography, Room to Dream, where in the early days of working with film. He was doing a short film for a commission. It took Lynch 2 months to shoot 2 minutes and 25 seconds of film, but when he sent it to be processed, he discovered the camera he'd been using was broken, and the film was nothing but a long blur. He put his head in his hands and wept for 2 minutes. Then he said fuck it and sent the camera to be fixed. I love this story because it showcases the care and the investment in creation, the sorrow of losing it, but the desire to create does not die with misfortune or inconvenience. A heart of genuine care is one of endurance. The greater you're tethered to passion, the greater your endurance becomes. This is where the realization of art as communication becomes the most pivotal. Regardless of the specificity of any given work, movie, or otherwise, any work of quality you engage with, any you hold dear to your heart, is one that is the result of effort and care. The minute you realize not only is the message and meaning itself compelling, whatever it's trying to communicate, but the fact that someone, some group, labored and poured some piece of themselves into the world to express that message, every movie, every show, every song, book, or painting becomes a conductor of inspiration. Someone has done it, and you are welcome to contribute to the collective library of completed work if you are willing to simply follow through. Every great work of art is an invitation to camaraderie. Every great work of art is a call to action. The thing that spurred this video on, sir, was I recently, and after deliberately avoiding it for so long, watched The Hamilton on Disney+, simply at the request of my girlfriend, and fact is, I'm not a Broadway guy. It has never appealed to me, and yet, after watching it, it took days for me to realize the level of which it moved me. Through song, through musical motifs, the show folds in a few decades of significant American history and the lives of the players within it, all to convey the life of a man who saw and participated in the changing of the world, the life of a man who saw death around every corner of his life, a man who always had something to say, something he needed to prove or change, a man who wrote like he was running out of time. But again, there was that theme.
I am not throwing away my shot!
Through triumph and tragedy, the show is a stunning indictment of passivity. A hurricane came and devastation reigned. Our man saw his future dripping down the drain, put a pencil to his temple, connected it to his brain, and wrote his first refrain, a testament to his pain. You see, when I got out of my own ass and disregarded the fact that it didn't exist in my preferred artistic medium and the jokes about it I had passively heard over the years, I saw something incredibly profound ringing out of this story. Art made with an open heart, received with an open heart. And look beyond that and see Lin-Manuel Miranda's place in this, someone I disregarded before. This dude fused his disparate passions of history, hip-hop, and Broadway musical into a singular, cohesive piece. That surely isn't to everyone's taste. However, the fact of the matter is, the man melded his passions into an undeniably, wildly successful work. That is, in my view, a very substantive work. The action of a distant politician spurred the action of an ungodly, nerdy playwright centuries later. And there is no reason that shouldn't inspire you and me to do. That's the greatest lesson art can teach you, simply by fact of its mere existence.